We will continue to have people who flow in the first few minutes of this meeting, but we're going to go ahead and get started right now because we know your time is important and we want to be punctual with it. My name is Chase Hale. I'm the principal here at the American Fork campus of American Heritage School. As I introduce myself, you will come to find that I often throw that little qualifier on the American Fork campus. Many of you know that we've recently announced a Salt Lake campus, and of course our virtual campus, American Heritage Worldwide, continues to grow and grow and grow. And so we are talking more and more in terms of a three-campus model, but tonight we're here to focus on American Fork. With us here tonight, we do have representatives from those other two campuses. We'll be able to interact with them a little bit later tonight. We also have members of our Board of Trustees. We thank them for all of their hard work, their guidance, and the giving of themselves that they provide to our school community. We will be hearing from several of them tonight as well. And of course, we have our head of school, Grant Beckwith, who is here on my left. We're going to begin by singing hymn number 304, Teach Me to Walk in the Light. Afterwards, we'll have a prayer from Rebecca Webb, and we will have Lisa Crossley conducting that, and Rob Swenson, our choir director, on the piano. So, hymn number 304, Teach Me to Walk in the Light.
to send our children to when so much of the world is falling in around us. We're grateful and excited to get to know each other and support each other and learn more of how we can build this great community in this school. And we pray that the Spirit will guide us as we make decisions and support each other. We're grateful for our principals and those who have worked hard to create this vision. And we see these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
For those of you who are new to our community this year, this is the first of 2 required meetings that we have for parents. We like to do a lot of coordination and training in these meetings. We have 4 screens up, 2 on either side and 2 in the front. We will be using those quite a bit through the evening. A lot of images, a lot of videos, so please go ahead and figure out which one is most comfortable for you. We'll go ahead and start off by just sharing a couple of first day or first week highlights. Yes, that cannon is loud, and yes, the rain could not deter us. We had a little miracle here last Wednesday when the heavy rainfall broke just long enough for us to do that, and of course it resumed right after. Our teachers did not wait to jump into their hands-on activities. This right here is a little lesson from Dr. Anderson's biology class. Students were taken through a process of comparing microorganisms between Utah Lake and Highland Glen Pond. And because of the differences in those water sources, they found that certain bacteria were much more exotic than others. We also, of course, never wait to jump into the faith aspect of what we do here. We begin every year off on that foot. Another highlight from this first day, first week is that we still have some things that are under construction. We've had some delays. I've had some people ask me if we were going to delay the start of school, and the answer was absolutely not. The show must go on. We have launched the plane, and we are still doing some tweaks as we fly it. We are still waiting on furniture items and other things to get wrapped up, but we're excited that we can do what we're doing, that we're able to do everything that is essential, and we have some really fun highlights that are just around the corner, like this space simulator. And thank you to the army of volunteers who have excitedly shown up to help out with that particular project. It's been very, very interesting. This was my personal highlight of the first week. This is Walker Smith. He graduated from elementary school and went into middle school. And we kind of moved his cheese a little bit this year because we turned 6th grade into a middle school grade. And he showed up with his old clip-on tie, which last year would have been appropriate for elementary school and 6th grade. And so I had the fun opportunity to teach him how to substitute a clip-on tie with a full Windsor. And I just thought there's so much metaphor in that picture. I was so grateful that one of our administrative staff members was just there to take that and share that with me. The Lord is expecting more of these youth sooner. The missionary age has been reduced. And now our 6th graders are even going to the temple and being ordained to the Aaronic priesthood. And so we likewise are going to be expecting more of them sooner. And we're very excited about that. And I was very excited to help him know how to tie that new knot. Okay, really quickly. When you walked in, you should have grabbed a couple of items. Some of you actually grabbed more, and we'll get to what those are in a minute, but you should have at least 4 items. I'm just going to go ahead and explain briefly what each is because they'll be referenced a little bit later in the meeting. The non-glossy white page, that's a letter from me to you. Every year, we work very hard to maintain alignment with our mission. We really take that seriously. Because of the episodic nature of school and program development, there are certain years where we choose to emphasize more on certain aspects of it. And so this letter lets you know what some of those priorities are. The blue is a quick summary of some of our policy reminders and policy updates, reminders of particular policies that we want to add a little more emphasis to this year, and then updates, of course, are new things. Go ahead and take a look at that, particularly if you have high school students who want to take advantage of driving off campus on Wednesdays. The green is a letter from our advancement office. They'll be talking to you more about that. And of course, the white glossy, what's new? Well, it is exactly what it sounds like. A quick summary of some of the exciting new programs that we have. All of this will be available digitally. On your parent portal on Veracross, you can scroll down, and on the right side, you'll see this little blue button, Parent Resource Links. You can find a lot of good stuff there, including eventually a recording of this video, or of this meeting, for anyone who can't make it tonight, spouses, friends, neighbors. Once you click on that button, you'll be taken to this page, and you'll find the meeting materials right there. Okay. We are going to hear next from our Parent Service Organization President, Katie Lawyer. Katie is dynamite. I got to invite her to take this role while I was sitting in the passenger seat of my car while my 15-year-old son was doing laps around the church parking lot, getting some of his initial hours, and I was just had so much that otherwise would have been a boring, moment for me. But it was a lot of fun to talk to her, hear the initial excitement in her voice, and she has just continued to make me feel like if I've done anything right, that's it right there. I've got at least one thing right. Once Katie is finished, we will hear from our Advancement Office and Board Development Committee. Shannon Brown is a member of our Board of Trustees and the chair of our Development Committee, and she works very closely with our own Advancement Director, Barbara Tanner. We'll hear from both of them after Katie.
I really am excited to be here today. I even have my heels on and I'm still too short. There we go. Well, this is our family's 9th year at American Heritage School. We have 4 children from elementary to high school, and we love the mission of American Heritage. And we are so grateful to be a part of this remarkable school community. I want to publicly thank Laura Hale, who's sitting over here. Laura, for her phenomenal service the last 3 years as the PSO president. She prepared the way for me to walk into an exceptional PSO board with these 6 talented women who you see up on the slide. We welcome our newest member this year, Catherine Huber, as secretary. And truly these women love the mission of the AHS, and they truly serve with their hearts. The PSO stands for Parent Service Organization. I'm actually asked that a lot, but we work together with teachers and administrators to facilitate opportunities for parents to complete their 30 hours of service. As parents, each of you are members of the PSO. Whether this is your 10th year or your first, I can say from personal experience, the more you get involved and serve, the more grateful you will become for the teachers and administrators who work so enthusiastically to educate our children's hearts and minds. Over the last few weeks, I've had the opportunity to meet many of our new families joining us this year. One sweet mother, whose family recently moved here from out of state, put her hand on her heart and exclaimed, "I'm sorry for the tears. I'm just so grateful to finally be here at this school. We were led here to be here at this time. We were led." Another family reached out to me from Washington, D.C. They are moving here soon and are anxious to join the school community. They wanted to talk all about it, and they just can't wait to get here. And to my amazement, a family whose oldest child is just 3 reached out to me and said they are so excited to come to American Heritage when their child begins kindergarten that they wanted to know what can they do now to begin their service hours. What should I say? Come on in, join us. And it's true, we are a part of a unique and phenomenal school community, and it's a blessing to be a part of it. A common question that I'm asked is, how do I sign up for service hours? Well, first you're going to sign into Veracross, and there you will see the heart and hand icon. Then as you click on that icon, it will take you to this main page. Once you are on this PSO main page, you will see the sign-up link titled Service Opportunities. This will take you to the list of events throughout the year. They're in alphabetical order, and you simply click on the event and sign up on the Google Doc. Lunchroom is always a current need. We ask everyone to sign up for at least a 1-hour shift at least once. If we all do this, we will get the help we need for the lunchroom. And I think it's a great experience to see what your kids are doing at lunchtime. Constitution Day is coming up in September, and that happens to be one of my most favorite patriotic events. You'll see a sign up under current needs as well. Another link shown here is titled Off-Campus Social Community. Many parents express a desire to get to know other parents at the school. Did you know that currently we have a book club, a running and walking group, and a park hoppers group? All of that information for those groups can be found under the social community link. So come join us, we have a lot of fun together. You may wonder, how do I get the latest PSO information on events and signups? So to help with this, we have just started a new PSO GroupMe page. We feel this will be a great way for us to communicate with the school community on the upcoming events and service opportunities. So you click on that GroupMe link right there, and it'll instantly connect you to the GroupMe app. So to wrap up, I would just like to quote Grant Beckwith, head of school, who said this: "When we join the faithful home with the faithful school, parents and teachers can work in unparalleled synergy toward developing the whole child." Our family has greatly benefited from this synergy over the years. It is real. And we are grateful for parents and teachers who sacrifice and serve in so many ways. I'll never forget the time our second grader came home, excited to tell us about her day. And she said with a smile, "Mom, Mrs. Davis said, I let God prevail today." That really touched my heart. I love the simple yet powerful way her teacher helped her develop Christian character in her learning experience. So the rest of the school year, we would often discuss what it looks like as a second grader to let God prevail in your life. A principle she still thinks about both at home and at school, and hopefully throughout her life. This is just one of the many examples of how our teachers support us as parents in educating the hearts of our children. So I invite you to make the best of this year by joining us in working together. Through your sacrifice and your positive influence, we can let God prevail together. When the world needs this synergy more than ever, we can do this and educate our precious hearts and minds of our children. Thank you so much.
I heard a few giggles when she said you might enjoy finding out what your children are doing during lunch. I know what you were thinking. You might be horrified to discover what your children are doing during lunch, right? But probably not. They're sweet kids who do an amazing job of taking care of this school. Super excited to have Katie here. I thought, who could replace Laura Hale? And I think Katie will do just a wonderful job. I am Barbara Tanner. Shannon, you should come up here. I'm her sidekick, or she is mine, but I'm the advancement director here. Super excited to meet the new families, very excited to get to know the returning families better and to meet those of you who are returning that I still haven't met. COVID made it hard for all of us to connect the way we would like to, right? But I am excited to introduce what will be the focus. Am I going the right direction? Yes, okay. The focus of our fundraising efforts related to financial aid over the next several years. Very excited to share with you the fact that our Board of Trustees has approved a $21 million campaign to establish an endowed scholarship fund. You'll see on the screen that it says $15 million endowment. That $15 million represents the actual endowed fund. The other $6 million represents what we anticipate spending in student financial aid and teacher tuition remission benefits over the course of those years that we are building up the actual endowment. And eventually we'll get to the point where that endowment can generate roughly $750,000 a year in student financial aid once it is fully funded. Isn't that exciting? You have no idea how thrilled I am. I'm going to go do the happy dance that you applauded for that. That makes me think there's a lot of people in this room that recognize the value of an endowed scholarship fund. It will allow us to retire the annual fund, and that will be just an extraordinarily wonderful thing. You'll see on this sheet, it indicates that one of our highest priorities here at the school is to make American Heritage School accessible to mission-fit families. And so those scholarship funds really are so critical in creating the kind of culture that we hope you're experiencing and appreciating and learning to love here. So I am anxious to talk to you if you have any interest in helping us with this campaign. That's why I put my contact information on the screen. so that you can reach out to me, because there are so many of you who don't know me and I don't know your circumstances. Timing is everything when it comes to giving, and I understand that. But if you're in a good place, if your family's in a good place where you really are interested in helping with something like this, I want to talk to you and tell you more about it. So my information is at the bottom. Please feel free to email me if you'd like to have a conversation. And I will be reaching out to many of you, because that's my job. That's what I do here. And I look forward to those conversations. So Shannon is going to tell you about some of the events that are sponsored by the Development Office, and I think I'm ready to turn things over to you. But anyway, welcome. We're so happy you're here. You inspire us. We hope to inspire you, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you much better. Shannon.
No, you're good. Okay, so yeah, Barb and I are kind of a team. I am on the board of trustees, and my job is, as the development chair, to help raise money for two things: scholarships and the teacher tuition remissions and teacher bonuses. And so, as well as raising funds, we also want to raise the friendshiping component of this campus. And thank you, Vicki. You're always so sweet. She is the friendship. I keep saying I need to get her pom-poms, but okay, love you, Vicki. Okay, so I made up these activities, I guess you would say. So we do a family dance, and we also do the Constitution Day Festival, and you should be seeing signage for the Constitution Day Festival all around. That was what Katie was referencing. We need volunteers because that's coming up on Thursday, September 16th. This is the poster that you might see on campus, and on there I haven't mentioned everything, but let me just kind of give you an overview if you're new here. So we usually are outside, and we get out of school 2 or 2:30 on Thursday the 16th, I'm not sure what time. But you get out a little bit early so you can go home and kind of regroup, do lessons or whatever you need to, and then be back here by 5 o'clock. And in the past, we've provided a meal, but this year we're going to try doing it like food truck style, okay? So either bring a picnic lunch if you have dietary restrictions, give your kids a salad and a multivitamin before you come, and then we're going to load them up with things like popcorn and candied apples and Burton's ice cream, yeah, waffles, and I don't know which barbecue place, but I'm on the hunt. I'm working on that still, but we'll have the barbecue option. We have corn dogs. We're going to have waffle love, as we said, and we also have cup pop. And the student government's going to use this as a fundraiser as well, and they're going to sell Chick-fil-A sandwiches. So if you're just thinking, I don't want to make anything, I don't want to bring anything, there will be options here. So just know that this is $5 a person. We try to keep the cost totally as low as we can so that everybody can feel like they can make this a fun event for the family. And the fireworks are incredible. Thanks to Low Book Sales and the Nielsen family, we had the most amazing fireworks show last year. I don't want to oversell it, but I did hear people saying that was the best fireworks show they had ever seen. And I know a lot of people go to the Stadium of Fire, so that's a pretty big compliment. So just know that it's going to be a lot of fun, but I do need you to get on to the PSO page and start volunteering. We have lots of blank spaces that I've seen, and we can't do it without you. So that is a great way to get some service hours done. And then the dance will be coming up in the spring. We're going to use it in conjunction with Teacher Appreciation Week, because at the culmination of that week, we do a silent auction. So this is where we have the big dance, and up on top we have baskets that you can buy and donate. So even if you feel like, I can only do $20, I can only do $40 basket, whatever, everybody can give something at this event. And that's what we don't just want the mega donor, we want everybody to feel like they have a way to give back here in this community, whether in time, talent, or treasure. So I hope you'll come to that. We'll see more about that, but it's going to be a sock hop. We always have live music, and as I said, a really fun auction. And it's just a great time to get together as a community. So thank you so much. I hope that we can see you around campus. So.
Thank you so much. We're going to hear next from the chairman of our board of directors, Dan Burton. If you were to Google his name, you would find a lot of wonderful accomplishments, a lot of great attainments in the business world. And if you stopped there, you would fall far short of the greatness of Dan. I'll just say that we love Dan, and we're so grateful that he has a tone and a calm collectedness that we couldn't be more grateful for at our helm during times of uncertainty. And I think you'll feel that from him tonight. Following Dan's remarks, you get to hear from four of my favorite people that I get to work closely with, our assistant principals. I've asked them to come and share with you two things each. They're going to talk to you about something wonderful and transformational that has happened recently in their particular realms. They'll tell you a short story, and then they will also share with you something exciting that is on the horizon. We will hear first from Shannon Adams, our elementary school assistant principal, followed by Blaine Hunsaker, the middle school assistant principal, who also has oversight of our performing arts programs. He will be followed by Dave Buer, our athletics assistant principal, who also oversees admissions and communications. And lastly, we'll hear from Elizabeth Acuna, our high school assistant principal. Dan.
Thank you, Chase, and good evening. It's so good to be here with you together again. As I look in the audience here, I see parents who we met in our first year as parents here at the school. This is our 11th year now as parents, and we have felt so blessed by being a part of this wonderful community. And then I see a lot of new faces as well. It's wonderful to be with you each this evening. I had three brief messages I wanted to share. First is a message of love and support. So I wanted each parent in this community to know how much our Board of Trustees loves and supports the administration. We are united in our support of these wonderful administrators and the faculty members, the teachers that interface with your children on a day-to-day basis. We're so grateful for the wonderful leadership that they provide, and we are united in our support for them. And we're also appreciative and grateful to each of you as members of the school community. We love you. We appreciate the volunteerism that exists here at the school and the involvement that you have. And we're grateful that the school can be an extension of what you're doing so well at home. And we always hope you feel that connection, that synergy that Katie spoke of so eloquently. So that's the first message, one down, two to go. So the second message I wanted to share was something that we talked about in our foundations training for new parents and new faculty that we hold just prior to school starting. And as Chase mentioned, I have a day job and work in the business world, in the healthcare ecosystem. And one of the things that we have noticed is a rise in contention and frustration that I think has accompanied some of the challenges that we faced as a global community in response to the pandemic. But you see that evidence in a few places, like in the hospital setting, the rise in violence that occurs there has been significant as people are frustrated and angry. And likewise on airplanes, the rise in the number of violent incidents on airplanes has gone through the roof during COVID. And so this anxiety and this contention is something that we have to kind of work our way through. And there's frustration that's often expressed about mask mandates or people who aren't or are wearing masks or vaccinations or other issues. And one of the things that we've started to do at our company before each LT member meeting is share a really simple framework and an invitation. And I wanted to share that just as I did at Foundations Training with all of us as an invitation throughout the school year. And it's a very simple diagram. It has two circles. One's a very large circle, and that larger circle represents someone's life and all that goes into that individual's life and experience. And then there's a much, much smaller circle inside the larger circle that represents what I know about that person's life. And it's such a good reminder of how little we really know about the context of what an individual might be facing, what they might be struggling with. And the title of the slide that we review at each of these LT member meetings is why we should be kind to one another. And I would extend that invitation to remember that simple framework as we're interfacing with one another. And even by extension, as you may come into contact with perhaps a policy or a rule that may have something to do with our school's response to a very dynamic pandemic situation where at one point in time masks aren't required and then we might change. And just if we can remember that the administration is doing the very best that they can to use the information that they have and use good judgment to make decisions and err in favor of kindness and understanding. And remember, we may not have all the context behind a particular choice or decision. And I think that'll help us all approach this next school year in a really positive way and stay unified. There's so much more that unites us than that divides us. And that brings me maybe to my last element I wanted to share with you. And it's something that I shared in our most recent board meeting. As we met as members of the Board of Trustees along with the administration to talk about how we can be best prepared for this upcoming school year, I shared a message that had its roots in one verse. We only have one single solitary verse in the New Testament that describes an experience. And through that experience, I think there's a lesson maybe that could be instructive for all of us. It's in Matthew chapter 9, and it's verse 9. This is the one verse that describes Jesus calling Matthew to follow him and become his disciple, and then later he becomes an apostle. And here's what it says. As Jesus passed forth from thence, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the receipt of custom. And he saith unto him, Follow me. And he arose and followed him. So that's the one verse that we have. But what went into that experience and that exchange? And as the board knows, and many of you know that know our family well, I do love the TV series The Chosen. And one of the things that they do in that TV series is they'll take a verse and they'll try to imagine maybe what the backstory was, what was the context behind that one verse that occurred. And I'm sure they don't get everything right, but it has been a useful tool for me to think about more deeply what some of these events must have meant. And we don't have time tonight to watch the video clip, but I would invite you to watch this poignant exchange where it shows Jesus walking by the receipt of customs, just as it says in verse 9. It imagines what is it like if you are Matthew and you're a publican, you're a tax collector. How do other Jews feel about you as a tax collector? And the reality was they were despised by the Jews. They were felt to be traitors to their religion and to their people. And thinking a little bit more deeply about that, and thinking about the Lord Jesus Christ deciding to call someone who was despised by others to join him, to be his disciple. I'm sure there were many who didn't feel that was a great idea. And in the Chosen episode, it shows Simon Peter going, wait a minute, what are you doing? Do you know who this is? Do you even know him? You know what he's done? And Jesus' response in this portrayal is very simple but powerful. He says, yes, I do know him. And when Matthew hears that, you see the weight of the significance of that response. And that's the moment when he decides, yes, I will follow. And it's a beautiful microcosm of what the Lord feels about all of us, each of us. He does know each of us. And he does want each of us to follow him. His invitation to each one of us is the same. That is at the core of what unites us here in the school community. We may have different experiences, different backgrounds, just like the disciples in Jesus' time came from lots of different backgrounds. But there's so much more that unites us here than divides us. And as we keep his story, which is the way we teach history at American Heritage School, it's his story, Christ's story. We keep Christ at the center of all that we do in our homes and in this school community. that will serve us well, and we'll remember all that unites us, and including having kindness and generosity towards one another, and assuming positive intent with one another. And as we do that, we can feel the power of being united to a community of believers and folks that are striving to follow Jesus Christ. And there is something incredibly special about being part of that community. I know it has blessed our family's life so significantly, and we're so glad to be here with each of you in this wonderful school community. Thank you for choosing to be part of this community, for bringing your children to this school so that we can all strive together to be followers of Jesus Christ. Thank you.
I do want to thank you as well for bringing your beautiful children to the school to be part of what we do here. But I do know we have lots of teachers in this arena, and I wonder if you join me in giving them a standing ovation for the wonderful work that they do. They are Thank you so much. And thank you for the special spirits that your children bring to us each morning. We are going to be sharing with you some stories that have changed our lives for the good. The first one that we'll share with you is about a wonderful little girl whose name is Savannah Riggs. And I'll share with you this story with her parents' permission. In fact, I'm going to read to you her mom, Julie Riggs' words. Julie's sitting over there. Thank you, Julie. She shared these words with me, and I want to share them with you, so I'm going to use her words tonight on this transformational story. There are no words to describe the pain, the fear, and the heartache that comes with the sudden diagnosis of a serious illness with your child. Savannah's diagnosis of ganglion neuroblastoma on her spine changed her little 7-year-old world. In addition to the physical concerns of a cancer diagnosis, we were immediately worried about how we would be able to keep her spot in her classroom at American Heritage School. Now, 10 months later, we look back on the miracles, the tender mercies, and the indescribable love of others for our family and for our daughter. We are part of a school community that is defined by love. In the moments our daughter was in the hospital recovering, she was surrounded by pictures and gifts from classmates who had not forgotten her. In the moments when we questioned if we could handle what had been asked of us, we would find the familiar face of a friend from our school community on our porch, with dinner, a chocolate shake for Savannah, a stuffed animal, or just a hug. The mailbox was filled with letters from teachers and fellow students, filled with encouragement and hope, often in her favorite color of pink or purple. The administration rallied around us with an outpouring of love, support, and prayers. Arrangements were made for Savannah to interact with her class on Zoom from her hospital room and from home. Her teacher went above and beyond preparing the homework, sending home crafts and class projects so she could still be included. When there was concern that she would fall behind in spelling and reading, her teacher offered to do one-on-one tutoring using her own precious time outside of school to invest in our daughter's education. We were humbled by the love that was extended beyond the needs of our daughter to the needs of our son, who is also a student at AHS. His little world turned upside down as well. There are no words to describe the love and support that was shown to him by his teacher, who worked with him and was patient with his fragile emotions. No words for the prayers that his fellow classmates would give, asking for Canyon's sister to get better. The blessings of this school go far beyond academics, far beyond grades and testing scores. The blessings of this school are the administration who called my son by name each day as he entered the school alone, without his sister. The blessing of the teacher who made time in class for her students to write and draw messages of love. The blessing of a teacher who hand-delivered the assignment to our door so she could still enter a contest. The blessing of the recess aides who allowed our daughter to attend recess in her wheelchair, where her classmates gathered around her and gently pushed her, filling the air with the sound of laughter rather than tears. The blessing of the PE teacher who sat on the sidelines with Savannah, when she was heartbroken because her little body didn't have the strength to participate. The blessing of the music teacher who let her participate on Zoom and helped her come up with creative ways to make music from home. The blessing of the front office staff who never questioned my son when he needed to call home just to make sure everything was okay. The blessing of a staff and administration who knows us, who loves us, who makes sacrifices for us, who fought the fight with us, who cared with us, prayed with us, fasted with us, encouraged us and believed in miracles with us. We are part of the AHS family because that is exactly what it is, family. They share the same goals and dreams that we have for our children, to help them know that they are capable of anything they set their minds to, that they are children of a king, a father who has blessed them with talents and gifts and the courage to fight the battles of our day. They help them put on their full armor each morning through prayer, scripture, and gift of music. They help them see the beauty within and the power they have to be part of the change this world needs. They help them know and feel and recognize the gift of the Holy Ghost that fills these holes. They love them. This is our family, and we are beyond blessed to be part of this community, such as this, at a time such as now. Thank you for being part of our family. Much love, the Riggs family. And I want you to know it's an honor for us to be a part of these stories that transform children, that transform us. And it's an amazing place to be, and we're honored that you bring your children here. So thank you so much for adding to that. And Judy and Dr. Riggs as well, thank you so much for sharing this story with us. We really appreciate it. And look at beautiful Savannah. All right, I'm not going to go into detail of all of these things. They are listed on the document that you have in your hands, but the one thing I want to quickly tell you about is the very last bullet point. It's called Ballet VX. They are brain exercises that our teachers are taught at Foundations Training again, and one day we'll show you a video of our teachers in the hallway bouncing a ball and having them cross the midline this way, and helping the brain to get that exercise during the school day. So your teachers are going to be using these exercises during the school day for the children, and you'll hear the children having lots of fun with it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon. What a beautiful opportunity to address you tonight. In 7th and 8th grade at American Heritage School, we have some history curriculum and literature selections that are the same each and every year. And we also have teacher preference. I have been given permission tonight to share this story from one of our 8th grade teachers, Mrs. Kim Fairber, and the parents of Hannah Lemon, a new student at American Heritage School who has just joined us. This experience is representative of many of the experiences that happen time and time again at American Heritage School. I now quote from Mrs. Fairber, "Heavenly Father, I don't know the students that I'll be given in my class this year, but Thou dost." This was her prayer as she was striving to create the curriculum for the approaching year. Knowing who she would be teaching guides what we should be teaching in a strong way, and she needed heaven's help. She continues, "Going through the stack of books on my nightstand, I tried to listen to the Spirit direct me to the literature pieces from my class, the ones that they needed. One night, after reading a few of those approved books, I fell asleep with a prayer still in my heart. In the early morning hours, my mind was flooded with quotes and lines from one particular book, Gifted Hands by Ben Carson. I knew that this was the piece of literature that my students needed in my class this year. So," she continues, "I began the process of submitting the request and getting approval for the book. She trusted the Lord and knew that this was the right decision and the right selection for several reasons, and several confirming experiences followed. One of these experiences was after meeting one of her students, Hannah Lemon, and her mother, Angela. As they conferenced during the week before school started, Angela told her about her 21-year-old son, Josh, who was born with Apert syndrome. Among his many medical problems, he has fused bones in his face, skull, hands, and feet. Nothing works the way that it should with his body, but that is not the case with his spirit. His spirit is one of greatness. He has made multiple surgeries and had multiple surgeries, many of which have been to enable him to create his fingers and his hands. Although Josh's hands look different, he loves them. He is grateful for his gifted hands and uses his hands to serve and bless those who are around him. One such service was when he came and spoke to Mrs. Fairber's class on the second day of school as she was laying foundations in her classroom. Josh is currently serving as a service missionary, and people are drawn to his light and his personality. Josh agreed to come to Mrs. Fairber's class, and he spoke about his personal struggles with long and painful surgeries that kept him in a hospital bed for months at a time, definitely long enough to get discouraged. He talked to these wonderful 8th grade students about resiliency and asked them a question: how can you overcome? Then he went on and he shared what he calls his 3 top secrets in resiliency. Be thankful, be obedient, and always set an example and serve. What a great foundation. Yes, please. What a great foundation to lay at the beginning of the first year. What lessons will be able to be learned and drawn from this beautiful selection of literature. It was humble to hear Josh and see him smile to all of the 8th graders, so full of potential. We could feel his Christ-like love in the classroom and commit to being just a little better. This was the perfect way to begin the year. Mrs. Lemon said, "Coming to American Heritage School wasn't by chance. I drove past the school almost daily for 4 years and never once gave it a thought of enrolling until I did." This last summer, she prayed and prayed again for her girls. She begged her Heavenly Father to help her see a path for them. We've all experienced challenges and shifts in this world. She remembered that our dear prophet, Russell M. Nelson, has often challenged us to continue to hear his voice, and she knew that he would guide her. Mrs. Lemon recounts, "I knew that I couldn't protect or shelter my children from everything, but I could prepare them, and so by a series of small miracles, and they were actual miracles, both of her daughters ended up here, and for this she is very grateful." This is just one example of how teachers and parents work together at American Heritage School to educate the hearts, the minds, and the bodies of students as teachers individualize what is needed for each of their classrooms. It is experiences like these that help students to feel the promptings of the Spirit, to bring them towards the light, to reason and discern between right and wrong, truth and error, and to increase their faith in knowledge in the plan of salvation. Thank you again for letting us share this story. I, like Mrs. Adams, won't take time to cover all of what's new, but I have to talk about one of the wonderful things and the blessings at American Heritage School, which is our after-school performing arts programs. Directed by Rob Swenson and Casey Brown, let's give them a round of applause. We're growing and expanding in this area. We added a junior choir, we've added a band program, we've added a harp ensemble, all of this to make room that during this amazing last year of COVID-19, they still continue to sing and to play and experience beautiful music. It educates hearts and minds in a way that is so unique. And we're so grateful to have this program for all of our students, grades K-12, and anyone in the community. Invite your friends and your family to join. There's still space and still availability for these programs. And we've added these groups and ensembles due to the blessings of the expansion that we've had at the school, and we have room for them. So thank you again to our performing arts programs. They educate hearts and minds. Mr. Swenson, who's been giving tours for years, said last summer was the best one yet. Thank you again to our performing arts.
The bench. Everybody take a look at that. You're experiencing this real time right now. The bench. What power it holds. What fear it strikes into the heart of every player. What pain it has caused to many a backside that rarely, if ever, gets to leave its unforgiving clutches. This is how you feel right now. But at the same time, what wonders can the bench do? Oh, how the hard bench can soften a heart. Two former American Heritage Patriots come to mind, the best female and the best male athletes to have ever played basketball at AHS to date. Both of them were the best scorers, the most athletic, the best passers, and the smartest on the court. But they both had weaknesses, like we all do. It was hard to be patient with their teammates. It was hard to carry the weight of the team on their shoulders game after game. So at different points in their seasons, during crucial games, the coach decided they needed to sit. So off to the bench they went. The players needed time to think. They needed space to put the game and their frustrations in perspective. They needed to know, again, that their coach needed them to change, that he knew they were capable of more. And the more didn't have anything to do with basketball. It had to do with heart, with attitude, with how they lived the second half of the first great commandment. And just as vital, they needed to know that the coach cared more about them, their hearts, than he cared about the scoreboard. The scoreboard was and always had been secondary. And that's when the bench becomes more powerful than the court. It becomes a teaching tool for teaching principles and priorities. And in both cases, over the course of the season, the change came. Principles of sacrifice, fidelity, perseverance, and love were strengthened. And now both players are playing basketball for Division I colleges, in no small part because of the character they developed at American Heritage School. Yeah. Because there was a transformation, and they are two examples of what we are striving to accomplish with the AHS Way. The AHS Way is our guidebook for why and how we do extracurricular activities at American Heritage School. The document is still a work in progress, but we wanted to share the AHS Way with you. You can find it on the athletics page of our website. As you read the guidebook, we want you to know that transformation, the process of becoming, is at the heart of our extracurricular activities. We also wanted to share that the rosters of our fall sports teams are nearly 50% larger than they were last year, which is such a blessing because we know the power principle-based coaches and inspiring teammates can have on our children. And we're also so grateful for donations that allowed us to build more athletic spaces like the Patriot Auxiliary Court upstairs and acquire much-needed forms of transportation. But all of these additional resources are just tools to help us transform hearts. You know, tools like the good old bench. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Jacob Acuna, and I am the assistant principal of the high school. I have been given 3 minutes and just one small task tonight, the task to inspire you. Actually, I am grateful for the privilege of speaking to you for just a minute about what I love about American Heritage. There are, in fact, many things that are inspiring at this school, from the curriculum to the artwork, but it is the people who live and breathe the mission statement of American Heritage that inspire me the most. And tonight I want to focus on one specific group of people, our students. One of the desires we had in developing our high school is that this would serve as a second home to your children, a place where they feel safe, loved, and seen. Because friends become so important at this age, we knew that in an environment where friends were kind and supportive to each other was essential. In large measure, we have and continue to accomplish that. In fact, just yesterday, we had some former students here visiting at American Heritage during lunch, because we have a closed campus that asked them to come back after school was over. One of them looked at me and said, "But Mrs. Acuna, don't you know this is our second home?" Our alumni and former students frequently come by to say hello, to walk the halls of their second home, and we love it.
In fact, last March, we had the privilege of bidding farewell in this very room to our former student, Karina Hansen Anderson, who met her husband Joseph here at American Heritage. Both were graduates of the class of 2012. These are some pictures of them, and I share their story with Joseph's permission. Karina and Joseph were typical of so many students at American Heritage. They enjoyed participating in athletics, dances, plays, debate, and field trips. They loved life, fun, activities, their teachers, and friends. Joseph did not come to American Heritage until his senior year. When I asked him what gave him the courage to make the hard decision of going to a new school for his senior year, he said, "I prayed about it. I looked at the curriculum and I met the teachers. I knew there was not another place on earth where I could get a better education about God, economics, government, the Constitution, and so many other things. Leaving my senior year was hard, but it was one of the best decisions I have ever made." I asked Joseph what some of the highlights of attending American Heritage were for him. He spoke about the teachers, some of whom he still sees regularly, and many of whom have become personal friends and mentors for him. He also said, "This was the first time I was with so many friends with similar values. They inspired me to become better." Joseph continued to explain other important aspects of American Heritage for him. He said, quote, "There were many times I felt the Holy Ghost more in my academic classes than I had even in seminary. I loved the opportunity to learn principles of truth, freedom, family, marriage, all of these things I had treasured before coming to American Heritage at a deeper level. Of course, my greatest blessing in attending American Heritage was meeting my future wife." Just like Joseph and Karina, at American Heritage, your teenagers will be inspired by teachers who will become lifelong close friends and mentors. They will feel the Holy Ghost in their academic classes. And while I cannot guarantee they will meet their future spouse here, they will meet the type of person you hope your child will eventually marry. And they will be supported in developing their testimonies and becoming useful instruments in the hands of the Lord by friends who follow those standards and encourage them to do so as well. I cannot think of a better gift for our young people than that. As you look through the What's New page you received tonight, you'll see many new opportunities for high school, including our Creativity Lab, where students are making everything from robotic cars to guitars, and our Space Academy, where students will have the opportunities to simulate space flights. You'll see an increased emphasis on student leadership opportunities, following the model we have seen in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You'll see new history courses, which no longer follow a survey course model, but now provide opportunities for students to deep dive into their favorite areas of history, such as World War I and World War II, or to hear Mr. Hancock and Mr. Hymas discuss their contrasting views of the Constitution and see a model of civil discourse. You'll see new English courses that allow students to read types of literature that are of the greatest interest to them, from science fiction to Asian and African literature to short stories and poetry. And you'll notice the addition that may be the most exciting to our students, which is an off-campus 72-minute lunch each Wednesday. This is all in addition to the new beautiful building and commons area our students are enjoying immensely. But amidst all that, we will not change our approach to teaching, where your student will feel the Holy Ghost and be inspired by teachers and friends to become the person God wants them to become. Thank you.
We are in the home stretch, so that bench needn't be your partner for too much longer. Let's make a deal. I'm going to move really, really quickly through these next two sections. I'm going to go fast, so stick with me, and then we'll get back to some more exciting items before I introduce our final speaker. Well, we are going to digress a little bit. Yes, housekeeping. We do need to cover a few things, but like I said, I will go fast. As I said at the beginning, this is one of two required meetings that we have every year. We do ask that you record your attendance. Those who aren't able to come are able to watch the recording and then go on to Veracross. And as you see here in the parent portal, you'll find in the My Household section, Parent Service and Training Record, there's a link. You click that, you'll have the ability to record Not just your attendance here, but also your parent service hours. In addition to those 4 pieces of paper that I walked through at the beginning of our meeting, there are also some books for our new parents. These are required foundational reading items. You also record you are having read those as well at the same place. This only has to be done once. Okay, let's talk about Cardinal. First of all, the first day is not representative because every one of you must be there for that first day. Every one of you must walk your child to their room, must take that picture, and we have 535 cars that descend upon our campus all at once. And then, as you get through that first week, you start to see that it alleviates a little bit, and I'm going to give you some tips to help it alleviate even further. 3 tips. We're going to talk about how we decrease the quantity of cars. Second, we're going to talk about how we can diffuse their concentration once they're here. And thirdly, that's a bad word, sorry. Third, let's avoid left turns as much as we can. So how do we decrease the quantity? Also on Veracross, we have right here a neat little tool where you can find every other household in this school community that is within a 10-mile radius of your home. When you click on that link, it automatically sorts that list from nearest to farthest. You'll have contact information, you can reach out and make new friendships, and you can start setting up carpools. You can take Monday, they can take Tuesday, and so on and so forth. So that's how we can decrease the quantity. Now, how do we diffuse the concentration of cars once we're here? Well, the red here represents some rules that we would like you to follow. Please go clockwise around our main building. And oh, by the way, you can also go all the way around this building. We do have a gravel road on the north end. You are welcome to cut through that if you want to get to those yellow zones where the traffic is a little lighter and head out to the northeast corner of campus and exit there. The yellow circles represent really, really best kept secrets. Come to carpool, park, bring a book, tell your kids where you will be, and they will walk to you and you will avoid a lot of the hassle and headache. These red circles represent our crosswalks. We'd like you to not pause or stop or park there at any time. Again, these are the best kept secrets on campus. If you go there, you will find that you get to avoid a lot of the headache and you will get out quicker. In this zone, we have a lot of yellow curb. During the carpool periods of 8 to 8:30 and 3 to 3:30, we ask that you do not park, that you do not stop and leave your car, that this is for active loading and unloading only during those periods. And please do not park along 700 North. Also, please be very, very gracious and conscientious of our neighbors on other sides of the campus. We're getting more neighbors to our north, so please just be conscientious of them as well. All right, let's talk about some performance of the school. Last year's graduating class, 52 of them, 100% graduation rate. 100% of them left the basement and went on a mission or went to college. And we had nearly $500,000 in scholarship awards for that class. That's actually a lower number than typical, but often we have a National Merit Scholar in the mix. If you eliminate that outlier from previous years, this is actually a very, very good year for financial aid awards. 60% BYU Provo acceptance rate. That's on half of the class that applied there. 60% of those who applied were accepted. 29 went to other CES schools, including BYU Provo. We don't believe that BYU Provo is the only school. We just give you that statistic because we know that that is a very important one for many parents and many students, so we do single that out. But our graduates go to a host of wonderful, amazing schools. AP pass rates, fantastic. My favorite statistic on this page is actually not the ones on the top, but the one at the very bottom. 62% of our juniors and seniors last year enrolled in at least one AP course. If you look at our pass rates, they're good, but what's really impressive is the extent to which our whole student body is participating there. ACT scores were in yellow. State is red, nation is blue. We are consistently about 25% or 20% higher than those two benchmarks. PSAT scores, this is math and English of our 10th and 11th graders. We are blue. Nationwide norms are red. Let's move on to a survey that we did over the summer. We surveyed you, maybe to the point of fatigue, but you don't have to respond to these. That's why we feel fine about hitting you up twice a year for them. Over the summer, we had 119 households. About 26% of you respond to this survey. We asked you a little bit about whether we were doing a good job at supporting you at home, whether we were supportive of your family values, whether you felt like your family culture was improving. As you can see here, a strong majority of you strongly agreed that we were, and an overwhelming majority of you let us know that you either strongly agreed or somewhat agreed. More graphs and charts on mission and culture. I'm going to move fast through these. Again, strongly agree or somewhat agree is in the great majority here. This is a question we started asking somewhat recently. This is the Luke 2:52 question, right? This is the child and youth development 4-part balanced life question. AHS helps my child to stay balanced in each of those 4 areas. Again, strongly agree is in the strong majority with some level of agreement in the overwhelming majority. How are we doing on homework? How often is our homework beneficial or meaningful? Well, here you can see kind of the histogram. The average is 74% of the time. We watch this one closely. We know it'll never be 100%, but we like to keep it in the upper area. Curricular program ratings. We continue to get feedback from you that you want us to continue to focus on STEM, and we are. You've heard some of those investments that we're making this year, and we will continue to make them. On the world languages front, I'm happy to report to you that we are doing a much better job of preventing teacher turnover there, which is a very important precursor to having improvements there. Again, on the co-curricular, you're sending us again a similar statement. STEM is important. After school, you're telling us that you really, really like how we're doing our performing arts programs, these programs that we've had a lot of time to develop. And you'd like to see us get our athletic programs there as well. They are more nascent. We are making a lot of wonderful investments there, and we, like I mentioned with our world languages programs, we're also beginning to have a lot more consistency with our coaching staff there. Overall, how many stars would you give us on a scale of 1 to 5? You all said 4.8, so thank you. You know, this is actually a recycle slide from last January's survey. I did not have time to put one together for this time, this summer survey, but we always ask you this question. Give us the top 2 or 3 reasons why you came to AHS. And then it's cousin, why do you remain? Why did you come and why do you remain? It's interesting as we toggle back and forth between the came and the remain, faith. Faith is consistently your number 1 reason for coming and staying. As you remain, though, look what happens with teachers. Teachers becomes the number 2 reason. You fall in love with our teachers. You don't know them when you come, but you know them after you've been here a while, and you realize how wonderful they are. Yes. So I'm just going to let you in on a little secret. One of our management practices here, we only hire great teachers. That's our secret. They're all wonderful. Okay, now to my final point. I want to give you all a preview of something I'm going to be sharing with your middle and high school students next week. Why standards? We talk with our middle and high school students and our elementary school students as well quite a bit about our 4 standards. We have an honor code here. We have a technology standard. We have a uniform and grooming standard, and we have introduced a new stewardship standard this year. Now, at times we have some students that love those. We also have times when we have some students who don't so much. And this year, with so many of our students being new, I've decided to go back to the basics. And rather than focus on any one standard in particular, I would like to address this question: why standards? And it really comes back to you in many respects. I want to share with you 2 data points. One is this one: why you came and why you remain. And you tell us consistently that faith is very important to you. Number 2 is a little less scientific, much more anecdotal. When I come in contact with parents, one of the most common refrains that I hear is this. They say, I just walk into the building and I feel something. I can just walk in and feel it. I hear that so often from so many of you. I even bumped into a father a few weeks ago who referenced that feeling. And he said, I don't even have to come to the building. I just drop my kid off at the curb and I can feel it. And I love that. I told him I would find an opportunity to share that. That doesn't just happen. We are not just fortunate that we just stumbled upon that. Okay? That comes as the result of very deliberate and very intentional choices. Things we do and also things that we don't do. We believe that education can and should be a sacred experience. We believe that education can and should be a revelatory experience. And because we want and because we expect to have this elevated experience, we know we must qualify for that. And qualifying for elevated experiences requires that we elevate ourselves. We must elevate the way we talk. We must elevate the way we dress. We must elevate the way we behave. We must elevate the way we treat others. And we must elevate the way we care for and interact with our environment. If we will elevate ourselves, we can qualify for elevated experiences. That is why we have standards. I've given you the Cliff Notes version tonight. Next week I will have stories that will hopefully be a little bit more interesting and engaging and memorable for your children, but I wanted you to hear it first. I wanted you to understand that because we so often get this question, but why? Why? And as you look at our standards, you find lots of answers to that question. Some of them are very standard specific. Why the uniform? Why the technology agreement? And we have specific reasons why. I wanted to give you what I believe is the most important and most overarching why that is applicable to all standards, not just 1 or 2 or 3, but all of them. We want an elevated experience. We want people to continue to walk into our buildings and say, wow, I feel something different. We want to remain different and distinct for all the right reasons. And if we need to look to more contemporary, more modern, more recent confirmations or corroborations for why we take that approach, we need to look no further than our current prophet. The adversary is quadrupling his efforts. Quadrupling his efforts. Our youth and children are among the best the Lord has ever sent into this world. They have the capacity to be smarter and wiser. He's using elevated language. He's asking for more. And have more impact on the world than any previous generation. We must do our part to help them realize their potential. Thank you. If you want to boil our mission statement down to just one salient point, it's long, it's all important, we memorize it, we use it as our chief measuring stick here. But if you wanted to boil it down to just one salient point, it would be this: we are striving to help your students realize their divine potential. I'm going to go ahead and announce the remainder of our program now. We're going to hear next from our head of school, Grant Beckwith. Following Grant's remarks, we will have a closing prayer from Sandy Dawson, and then our meeting will be over. However, we invite you to linger longer if you wish. Those that are our administrative team that has presented to you tonight will remain afterward, and we invite you to come up and personally visit with us, talk with us, ask us more questions, ask us to go deeper on anything that may have sparked your curiosity. We would love to just meet you if we haven't met you yet. But we will be spread out, and if you have an elementary question, you can go and visit with our elementary assistant principal and so on and so forth. We will also, for those of you who have any curiosities, we will also have our Salt Lake City campus principal and our American Heritage Worldwide Business Director available for questions as well. They are growing, they are hiring, they are enrolling. If you know people, come and talk to them. So thank you so much for being here. I will turn the rest of the time over to Grant.
If you're a new family at the school, go ahead and stand. We are so grateful to have you. 300 new students at the school this year. If you just want to stand, go ahead and stand. it's been we know we need to get you back to your families. My name is Grant Beckwith, head of school. The most frequent question I've received in the last few months is, we're so sad you're not going to be here anymore. Are you sad not to be here? And I'm still here. I hope I'm going to be here when I'm old and gray. I love American Heritage. We're not going anywhere. My office is still here. It's just a little bit harder to find. And I want to just share with you a few things about our overall vision here. And I want to start with just some issues that every school is facing and every home is facing. You can see that these things are pressing families to find places and communities that really will protect their children that matter, right? This political divisiveness and clash of orthodoxies that's just causing us to not even know how to talk to each other about some of these issues anymore is difficult. And private schools are not exempt from that. Very interesting article in the Sutherland Institute weekly publication that they do, written by Bill Duncan, on how religious schools actually have some very statistically significant outcomes for students over time related to marriage and family. And that's really, at the end of the day, what we are, is we are a family school. I feel like the pandemic has accelerated. I think we all feel like it's accelerated a lot of things. A little bit like the internet. The internet accelerates things. It's pushed a lot of positive change, and it's pushed a lot of negative change, and accelerated that, right? I am not going to spend the time right now with this video that was produced for American Heritage by two CEOs of national child safety organizations. One is Chris McKenna, Protect Young Eyes, and the other is Dawn Hawkins of the National Center on Sexual Exploitation in COSI. She is actually a family school mom in Washington, D.C. And I talked to both of them and I said, hey, we have a lot more online activity going on, not just in our homes, but around the world. Education, all of this blended learning that's happening, a lot of positives there. But there's a lot of risks too. Can you take the best of everything you know and put it into a little video? And they said yes, and they did it, and I'm gonna email it to you. Please watch it, okay? It has lots of really great recommendations about not only teaching in your home, but the tone in your home, internal controls and technological defenses in your home. So please watch this. You've got the books, you've got Tech-Wise Families, you've got good pictures, bad pictures. This matters to us. There are so many things going on right now for our children that have come together in a nexus of pain on the internet. Okay? All right. A little bit about our strategic vision. Most of you are aware that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will be leasing a 5-acre campus to us adjacent to Temple Square. There is a backstory to this. It is a miraculous story. I'm not going to go into it right now. But in the fall of 2022, Mr. Anderson, thank you for coming back from China. He will be the principal of this school. I don't know if Aubrey Mason's parents are here. Probably not. They live in Bountiful, and Aubrey gets on the train every morning from Bountiful to come here. It's about an hour and a half by the time she gets here. We have multiple students that are doing this, traveling from all up and down the Wasatch Front. There is a real need. And Temple Square will become a kind of campus for us. The Family History Center, the Church History Museum, even some of the theaters on Temple Square will potentially be used by us. This will be a very exciting location that will magnify everything that we are doing, not just for families in Salt Lake. It's a very important part of our long-term strategy. As Dan said, to serve all of God's children everywhere. Here's some more pictures of this campus, this beautiful stained glass window, historical. This is a historical district. Beautiful stained glass window of the First Vision as you walk into this school. There's another picture of the park that is coming with the school. But I also want to talk a little bit about our American Heritage Worldwide vision. And Peter, just raise your hand right there, which is growing potentially even faster than these other two campuses. This is a picture of how we are beginning to message and spread our curriculum to families around the world in a way that is video rich, it is engaging, it is excellent content. We will own the content, we will own the platform, we will own the delivery methods for it, and we will be able to bless families even more than we have in the past, putting all of these thousands of lesson plans that we have that have really been scripts for parents to read at home, putting them online in a way that the students can self-guide themselves through them with all of this engaging content. And it has programming that allows families to become part of the teaching network. You know, imagine yourself getting a text on your phone, or your parents getting a text, or uncles and aunts getting a text saying, Johnny is about to have this lesson on race relations in America. Could you share a personal experience from your life, helping him to understand the importance of loving your neighbor, no matter the color of their skin, or their background, or their religion? And suddenly, families are teachers. This is very exciting software that we are developing. It's part of Peter's vision. It's part of so many that are coming to help us to do this. It will innovate and disrupt education as we know it. We're confident of that. This is all part of a big vision that's coming together. And it's already underway. Okay. I think you have heard plenty about the culture of kindness and the culture of Christ at this school. I will just close with these two. There's really three pictures here. This is one that was taken in the front office. This is who we are. This is our kind of teaching. Welcome to American Heritage School. It's all a reflection of Christ. He's the reason that we do this. There's no profit motive here. This is about our children and our grandchildren and generations yet to come. So friends, thank you for joining us. We love you. We know that we have a lot of work to do. We're not perfect here. There's lots of things we need to improve. We want your feedback. We need your help. But we will do this together in love for God and for each other. Thank you for coming. Welcome to American Heritage.